Hello and welcome to Breaking Ground. This week we're going to have a look at vegetable farming in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. Judy Peddle of Bayview Farms in Lethbridge, Bonavista Bay is part of a farm that has been around for generations. Times change, of course, and one aspect of modern Newfoundland farming is the lack of labor to help with the harvest. Mechanization helps with this problem, but also helps with others as well. Cyril Fudge of Wooddale in central Newfoundland has long ago made the decision to pump up the volume on his vegetable production. He and his two sons supply the large supermarket chains with produce. In order to be part of this process, you have to be willing to grow tractor-trailer loads of vegetables in order to compete with the mainland corporate farms. Then it's back to Lethbridge, where we will visit the farm of K.C. Robertson. Marketing and innovative crop production are the main ingredients to this successful farm. By combining traditional crops with new experimental ones, this farm has been able to come up with a formula that seems to attract a steady flow of consumers to its roadside market. Monique Tobin is back with guest Anne-Marie Whalen about consumer awareness, trends, and alternative crops. All important issues in the ever-changing industry of agriculture. We're going to take a short little break now. Hopefully, you'll stay with us. Usually when we think of farming, we think of vegetables. So we're going to start with the vegetable farm in Lethbridge, Bonavista Bay.
Our farm here, Bayview Farms, has been here approximately 65 years. Wade's father, Robert, and his brother, Jack, started farming here, and then I guess as they each married and started their families, they split the farm. One took one section of land, the other took the other, and that's basically how it started. But interestingly enough, it's all back as one farm now. The total acreage would be about 548. So it would be the forage, and that would be the hay production. That would be our largest acreage, would be in that. That's sold locally, like I say, to dairy farmers, people with horses, sheep, beef cattle, whatever. Then we have our potatoes, would be probably next in line for the acreage, and turnip, cabbage, carrot and beet have about equal acreage there, broccoli, cauliflower, the same thing, and we have a small amount of strawberry production. Well, we bought a potato harvester this year. We find that it's going to help us harvest a lot faster. Like the efficiency in harvesting, we'll probably cut our harvesting time at least by 50% and cut our labor costs by 50%. And it may seem strange to me to say this, but it's becoming increasingly harder to get labor. About 10 years ago, I had a list of probably, this long, people looking for work. This year we've had one phone call from a guy looking for work, and that's it. So it's harder and harder to get people to do the physical work that's required in vegetable production. So that's one of the reasons we went with the potato harvester. Plus, like I say, if you run into bad weather, if you get a wet fall or whatever, your harvesting can be done in a very short period of time. No, we're quite pleased with it. So far, we're quite pleased with the job the potato harvester is doing for us. But you got to look at it and look at the pros and cons and decide if you're in it for the long haul. Well, you're going to have to mechanize. And I think in order for farms to become more efficient here, efficiency, cutting our cost of production, this is what we have to do. We have to be competitive, and in order to do that, we have to become more mechanized. It's all sold in the local area here. We sell directly to the consumer. Like there's a couple of trucks that go door to door and sell directly to the consumer. We sell to the small stores here in the area. The Co-op supermarket in Clarenville and Atlantic Grocery in Bay Roberts, and they come every Wednesday and pick up the product. And right here at the farm, it's picked up here at the farm, so we have no transportation costs there, which we really appreciate that. And they distribute it then to their supermarkets and stores throughout the province. What we're growing here, like the stores we serve in Clarenville and the smaller stores around here, it's on the shelves in season, like right now, it's on the shelves within a few hours of being harvested. Now we do have storage facilities, but everything is kept there in a controlled storage, misters going and temperature controlled and all this, and the product we take out of that is beautiful. We had the produce manager at the Co-op in Clarenville say to us last year, we brought turnip in, cabbage in, I think it was probably January or February, and he said, if I didn't know better, I think I would have thought you cut it right from the field this morning. It looks so fresh. So I mean, if you have a good facility, you can get quality and freshness, get it on the shelves as quickly as possible in season, and then when it's out of season, like in the winter and spring months, if you've got good storage facilities, you're getting the fresh, good-looking product. And consumers want something that looks good.
Still in the vegetable patch, we're going to head off to Wooddale in central Newfoundland to see how Cyril Fudge markets his produce.
So I figured it would be a good place for the kids to grow up with. 15 people hired on, but sometimes I've seen up to 54 people on the field at one time when we never had the mechanical harvesters. Our customers kind of demand a better quality product. I'd advise anybody to go at it, but they should talk to a farmer to see what the problems are and take the advice of that farmer. In another few years, I'm hoping to pass it over to Dubai.
Cyril Fudge of Wooddale has spent a good part of his working life farming. Like his crops, Cyril has grown his farm from small to big. As a matter of fact, Cyril Fudge's farm is one of the biggest operations in the province, with well over 220 acres of developed vegetable-producing land. And it is because the farm has grown so big, Cyril has gone from roadside selling to providing produce to the large supermarket chains.
You had two choices. You either had to go door to door, roadside markets, or if you're going to increase your production, your door to door sales and your roadside stands couldn't handle the larger production. And in order to do that, you had to sell most all your product wholesale. Harvesting was a bottleneck. We got our short growing season, and in order to get the crop up within a couple, 2 or 3 weeks, and if you're doing 200 acres, you're going to have to go into bigger harvesters, and our customers kind of demand a better quality product, and those new harvesters, they're able to harvest without any damage, and we're able to do it fairly fast. Usually, if we're shipping out a trailer load of produce, you've got to be able to get it out of the ground, get it packaged, and out to those people on time.
Cyril's son Kent has grown up with farming. Kent and his brother have bought adjacent farms, and because of that, clearly see the necessity of going the harvester route.
Well, everybody's got a taste of big money up in Alberta, so to try to get people to work here now for what a vegetable farmer can afford to pay them is a bit hard to do, right? And it's hard working right outdoors in all types of weather, so it's not comfortable either at times. Before, we used to be able to pick 2 crates or boxes of carrots per person per day, and just for an example, to pick 4 boxes of those, like the 4x4 bins of carrots, would take 2 people all day to pick 4 boxes. Right now I can pick those 4 boxes in 15 minutes.
Mechanizing goes beyond harvesting of vegetables in the fields. In order to sell wholesale to the supermarket chains, high-end machinery comes into play again.
We usually harvest on the farm. We do have farm storages, refrigerated storages. The product is usually put in there for a short time, then it's taken to the packaging plant in Bishop Falls. At Bishop Falls, we do have dip tanks and wash drums, where tumblers, washers. Then it's conveyored down where there's a few people grading it out, picking out the misshaped ones and the oversized and undersized, and then it goes on down the line where it's packaged, put out in the cold storage at our packaging plant. It may be there for a few days, and then is tractor trailered mostly out to St. John's to the larger wholesalers.
Owning and operating a successful farm in Newfoundland has its own satisfaction. But there's something special when you can pass it on to the younger generation who share the same passion for agriculture.
I made a living. It was hard at times, but it was a good living. In another few years, I'm hoping to pass it over to the boys. That the farm and we got the machinery now that these should make a good living.
Marketing is almost as important as growing the crops. When we return, we're heading back out to Lethbridge to have another look at another approach to growing and marketing. Now we're back in Lethbridge to see a farm with new ideas and new approaches.
In many ways, Casey Robertson of Lethbridge Bonavista Bay is still a rebel at heart. He's a nonconformist and a farmer who is always looking for a new and different way to farm. His basic philosophy is, if you're not willing to change, you're going to disappear. Presently, his farm is growing 77 different types of crops.
Farming is really a business, and it's just like the auto industry, the petroleum, anything else. You have to change, and you have to change constantly. You're either changing or you're going out of business. Now, we've always raised non-traditional crops. We started with strawberries, and you can see now we still produce strawberries, but we produce romaine lettuce, which is a non-traditional crop in Newfoundland. We produce corn. And we have a crop here that's really very non-traditional. This is a collard, and a collard is really a cabbage plant that never makes a head. And Newfoundlanders have a great appetite for green leaves, and they buy these all the time. And I think it has great potential. It really could replace the turnip greens in the stores when the season runs out. That's how we use it. As soon as the turnip greens aren't fit anymore, we sell people collards, and it's very well accepted. We've been at it for 5 or 6 years. A lot of things that we've introduced besides collards, they stay around for 3 or 4 years and they're available, and then we discover that they really take off. When we came to Newfoundland 30 years ago and probably started farming 25 years ago, you couldn't give away broccoli, but now everybody eats broccoli. And like another product that we're raising right now that's seemed to have taken off this year has been red romaine lettuce. It's much milder lettuce, and it tastes a lot like old-fashioned leaf lettuce, but people have looked at it for several years and now they're buying it. Dried flowers are a class of flowers called everlasting. There's lots of flowers, you can just hang them up and they will dry, and they stay pretty. And we were just looking around in the stores about 10 years ago and discovered there were lots of these, and just did a little research and discovered that they could grow here. And actually a lot of the colors you get in Newfoundland, because of the severity of the climate, are a lot brighter than you get ordinarily in them. Now at the time we considered raising them on a scale that you could wholesale them, but we discovered really a little lesson in marketing, that no store carries enough volume of them that it would pay you to have a truck and deliver them. But we have continued to raise them because we're direct marketers and sell them directly to people, and they actually amount to a fair addition to our total sales in the course of a year. Farmers traditionally, when a crop starts to become less profitable, they plant more of it instead of changing their crop, their product line, you might say. In fact, in my opinion, if it's taking more acres to support you, you're really in the process of going out of business.
Casey Robertson's strong opinions often take people aback. His views on marketing also fall into that category.
Really, I think the marketing is at least as important, or it's more important than the growing, because farmers, practically every farmer I know is a good grower, but farmers are continually in hard times and continually going broke because they don't have the marketing. And today marketing is so sophisticated that really farmers should get together and they should hire professional marketers to market their products, and they would do much better. I think it's a major part of the problem. I was to a meeting one time and I said, well, the problem with our business is everybody sells a lot of stuff, but nobody markets anything. And really there were some people at the meeting that were kind of offended by this, because they didn't understand and they didn't even think about marketing. When you think of marketing, you have to think of the guy who sold the pet rock. He just put gravel in boxes and sold it, and he made a fortune because it wasn't what he sold, it was all marketing.
For Casey Robertson, there's a lot more to farming than farming. It's an old industry that always has to be looked at with new eyes.
Lessons for all of us. After this short break, we're back with Monique Tobin and her special guest, Anne Marie Whalen. Now here's Monique Tobin with Anne Marie Whalen to speak about the relationship between the consumer and the farmer.
Anne Marie, would you tell me about the work that you do with the Newfoundland and Labrador Horticulture Producers Council?
I'm the manager for the association, and we work with primary producers in the fruit, vegetable, and the nursery and sod producers, Christmas tree growers in the province. Our mandate is to help those farmers to progress the industry in our province. That may be through research and development, through mechanization, investigation of new techniques, crop management, environmental issues, and any other issues that they may need. We also liaison with government and with agriculture staff on the provincial and federal level.
When you think of traditional crops in Newfoundland and Labrador, you think of the Sunday dinner root crops. Is that what makes up the bulk of horticulture production in the province?
Yes, that is the bulk of it. But however, there are a lot of new crops that are being investigated and grown in the province. Sweet corn, for instance. Everybody loves fresh corn, and that's one crop that we're getting more and more into, that producers are wanting to grow. That corn takes a lot of heat units for production, which Newfoundland, we have a short growing season. So what we have to do is to get new technology, new production methods to grow our corn. And so farmers are implementing that on their farms to grow the sweet corn for our consumers. Other crops we're looking at are broccoli and cauliflower. We haven't been growing that on a large scale, but consumers like it. They like the fresh product, and that's what our farmers are being aware of, what the consumers are looking for. Asparagus is another item, and some peas and beans as well.
Would you say that a lot of the work that you do involves maintaining and establishing networks between farmers, each other, government? Is that a lot of what's involved?
In my work, yes, that's what I do mainly. I am probably their producer's main contact when it comes to where do I go, I'm looking for. They'll call me, and I'll link them up with the necessary, whether it's government or another supplier they might be looking for, and that's the work that I'm involved with.
And what are some of the biggest trends or issues of the day that come up in the work that you do with farmers that you feel need to be addressed or are being addressed by what you do?
I find some of the issues are environmental issues. That seems to be one thing that people bring up now every time. Our farmers are involved with developing environmental farm plans. That's a plan where they recognize where their chemical and pesticide storage is. It's in a contained area so that it reduces any chance of spills or leaks, or they're also involved with any manure storage or any contaminants like that, so it does not leak into the environment or the watersheds. So farmers are addressing those environmental issues. They're also involved with, I had 8 farms that were involved with demonstrations of how to reduce greenhouse gas emissions on the farm. Greenhouse gas seems to be a hot topic, and farmers do contribute to greenhouse gas, but we can also help mitigate the greenhouse gases in the big picture. Newfoundland isn't a big contributor, however, we can do our part.
Do environmental concerns come up in the work that you do?
Yes, farmers are very concerned about the environment. The land and the air and the soil is everything to them. They're what we call stewards of the land. They are the ones that are working on the land, so they want to make sure that it's safe for years and years to come. Some of the projects that our farmers are involved in is one of the national programs to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Greenhouse gases is a topic that concerns the world. We want to reduce greenhouse gases.
Anne Marie, do you see a lot of potential in non-traditional crops in the province?
I see great potential in the non-traditional crops. We have a growing ethnic community who are looking for particular products and particular crops, and we have farmers who are growing those crops for those people. And I see that there are so many crops that we haven't really tapped into, such as the broccoli, cauliflower, sweet corn, asparagus, that we can grow here and we can meet our own market demands. So I would love to see every shop and every store have a Newfoundland and Labrador grown product on the shelf.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Like every business, you have to be tuned in to the likes and the dislikes of the consumer. On next week's show, we're heading off to Cox's Cove, where we will visit one of the largest mink farms in the province. Bill Barry, known for his involvement in the fishery, has seen a great opportunity in the rearing of mink. This industry has experienced unheard of expansion in this province. Danish fur farmers have also seen the benefits of operating in Newfoundland and invested heavily. On a smaller scale, but no less important, we will travel to the community of Little Rapids. Here, 2 young women living in Pasadena have made a huge commitment to making a living from the rearing of bees. From bees comes honey and beeswax, and hopefully a successful operation that will explore tea rooms, secondary processing, and tourism. And Newfoundland honey is the only honey in North America that can claim to be chemical-free. Monique Tobin will be back with her special guest, Brian Goldsworthy. Brian will address the advantages that local food producers have over outside competitors, but he will also point out areas where farmers should look at to improve their chances for more sales. Well, I hope you enjoyed our show. I'm your host, Roger Monder, and we'll see you next week.